In the annals of history, the story of England unfolds like a tapestry woven with triumphs, struggles, and the resilience of its people. Dating back to 927 AD, England's journey began with the echoes of Viking longships slicing through the waves, immortalised in the saga of the Last Kingdom. The Norman conquest of 1066 marked a turning point. The clash of cultures, the birth of a new era, as William the Conqueror claimed the throne and shaped England's destiny. Fast forward to the 1st of May 1707, when the Acton Union signed the Union Song, binding England and Scotland in a historic embrace. Over 3 centuries of shared history, from the trenches of the First World War, through the turmoil of Ireland's partition in 1921, ignited by the Eastern Rising of 1916, to the defiant stance against tyranny in World War II. Then, in the modern era, Brexit shook the foundations once more, as England grapples with its place in the world. But amidst this historical backdrop, a question emerges, not political but profoundly personal. Should Southern England become an independent country? Hello, as you can see, I'm at my room in Winter Garden City, and this is my home, surrounded by wardrobes, Blu-rays, DVDs, games, everywhere. Well, I have to apologise for my glasses, obviously, and my long hair. I should get a haircut a bit later. So anyway, welcome to this movement video. It's about the future of Southern England. But first, before we get that, here is my life story. Well, if it's a brief one, then I will tell you. So yes, let's go into my personal life. So I was born at the now demolished original Queen Elizabeth II Hospital building on Tuesday the 5th of May 1998. My mum was a clothing designer, while my dad was a warehouse worker, and I was in the delivery room with my mum giving birth to me at 8:45 p.m. that day. I am indeed the only son of my mum and my dad and my sisters. I was graduated at Radiological School from 2008 to 2013, since I was diagnosed with autism 20 years ago. And I gained me undiscovered social media fame since 2011, although some accounts were either inactivated or removed due to circulation. However, on the 29th of March 2017, Judge Philip Waller from the Watford Family and County Court ordered the local authority an unlawful removal of myself from my family to place me into care for a 12-week assessment for which I should not have. My parents hid me for 2 weeks until the local authorities found me and removed me from them on the 13th of April 2017, outside the Great Yarmouth Hotel. And I was placed into care overnight at Cadbury Fairview Hospital in Colchester before transferring to Malvern House just 9 weeks later. And after 5 years of being the worst nightmare in a care home, I've escaped it and safely back to Winter Garden City on the 17th of June 2022. So I'm going to talk about it a bit later. Right now we're going to talk about the future of Southern England, a sub-national part of England. But here is its background like this. As you can see, England is a nation that made up of 3 sub-nations. The yellow is Southern England, of course. The green is Central England, commonly known as the Midlands, and on the blue, it's Northern England. In my opinion, England is the oldest nation in the world, and it is indeed part of the United Kingdom. But in my point of view, it has missed opportunities because they failed to bypass the rest of the UK, including COP26 and the Eurovision Song Contest. So, we shall assume our right to self-determination, which, unlike Scotland, which the court ruled in 2022 that the second Scottish independence referendum was outside of the competence of a Scottish Parliament.
For all these reasons, which are set out more fully in the judgment, the Court unanimously concludes that the proposed bill does relate to reserved matters. Accordingly, in the absence of any modification of the definition of reserved matters by an order in Council under Section 30 of the Scotland Act or otherwise, the Scottish Parliament does not have the power to legislate for a referendum on Scottish independence.
So that's the end of Scotland's dream of independence. Never mind. Southern England should get our own independence, and again we shall assume our right of self-determination and independence. But if you look back to the year 1776, where the Americans signed and adopted the Declaration of Independence from the three colonies, which was part of Great Britain. However, Southern England should get its own Declaration of Independence, which shall be held at the Woodall Community Centre in Welwyn Garden City, Hertfordshire, no later than the 27th of May 2024. Look at the reasons about why Southern England should go independent from the United Kingdom and England. Because 1. Southern England may have missed opportunities in hosting COP26 and Eurovision Song Contest, respectively. 2. The issues are anti-white racism, political entanglement, and terrorism. And 3. All UK legacy references shall be removed from history books to avoid political ties. Let's have a look at this national picture. As you can see, the United Kingdom is on green. It is England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. And as you know already that the UK has made up of 4 nations, as I said before. However, when you look at this transformation animation video, you can see Southern England is on blue, while the rest of the United Kingdom remains green. There's also a reason about why Southern England should go independent. For example, when you look at the protest made by the campaign group known as Republic, they're the anti-monarchy group, and they protested against King Charles III and the rest of the royal family. When you look at these photos of Republic Day, you see the protest banners read, "Not my king" and all other stuffs. And that was the events that have been held on the 5th of May, Sunday. Now, as I'm going to take you some excerpts from my white paper called Reimagining Southern England. It's about reimagining our sub-nation of England. I've got you some excerpts, and read this. Again, unlike Scotland, which failed to hold a proposed second Scottish independence referendum because the Supreme Court has ruled in November 2022 that a referendum is likely to be outside of the competence of the Scottish Parliament. Anyhow, Southern England shall finally be allowed to acquire its own powers to hold a declaration of independence of Southern England from the United Kingdom if the people began their willing to support it without a referendum to take place. That could be a thing of the past. It is realistic that without the approval from the UK government, for which the issue shall no longer be related to reserved matters, Southern England can be allowed to set a summer departure date for the sub-nation itself from both the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland and England. Accordingly, the Declaration of Independence shall only be signed and agreed before Southern England can leave both the United Kingdom and England without politics. However, a declaration can be held this year only without any consent from the UK government itself in World First, as the opposition against the existing political landscape as it is today. So, as a second excerpt, says as of the following: if we set a departure date for the 31st of July this year, then it would mark the end of our involvement of both British and English history, and instead our 7 English history shall be created while stronger ties with both Britain and England to be eventually erased from our history books while adjusting it significantly and rebooting our democracy indeed, while not mentioning in this white paper. It would also end our relationship with the political landscape, as well as the police federation and the monarchy, again in response to ongoing protests by the Republic Campaign Group, in favour of the civilian-run government here in Welwyn Garden City, marking a major departure from Westminster and other political entities that once thrived the whole world over, unlike any other we ever seen before. So before this happens, Southern England and the Midlands shall both collaborate together to sign the Declaration of Independence, which is similar to American Declaration of Independence of 1776. So that means a unified country shall be created for the first time in our history, as we call it the United Southern England, a collaboration possibly between two sub-nations as of the following: Southern England and the Midlands. So when it comes to the potential independence of Southern England, the political run Westminster government shall finally be dissolved for the foreseeable future and be removed from our history books in favour of forming our own government, which shall be considered to be a civilian run but also non-political entity. So that means that before that happens, we shall propose the redevelopment of a building that currently owned by the Welwyn Hatfield Council, and to transform it into a centre of a newly created Southern English government, if Southern England truly becomes an independent nation. Of course, redeveloping the Welwyn Hatfield Council building and turn it into a Southern English government requires planning considerations and permissions, so Southern English government can be created. Once it is opened, we shall set out new laws that will be passed without any vote, starting with the Military Army Safeguarding Act. The Military Army Safeguarding Act will become the first of our new laws to be introduced without certain vote under the jurisdiction of Southern England if we go independent. It would replace the Police Federation for the first time since 1829, including the Metropolitan and Hertfordshire Police. We should also plan to introduce a specialised military training for investigations and forensics for the first time. Strong measures shall also be in place to protect the Southern English population from further crimes, such as but not limited to murder, sexual assault, anti-white racism, and terrorism. The possible outdated, released under investigation scheme shall be replaced by the new charge under investigation scheme, which means that the ongoing criminal investigation may lead to the arrest and charges against certain individuals, including the former TV presenter Michael Barrymore, under investigation for the first time in the history of Southern England. As for the Anti-Human Language Reforms Bill, we shall plan to ban all short words with some exceptions in all medium across Southern England. This includes the cooperation from businesses and other companies by removing these words from advertisements to the entertainment industry and everyday life. So, while others are campaigning to ban smacking across England and Northern Ireland, unfortunately to say is that because we removed the references of the United Kingdom and England from our history books because of our independence, there won't be enough time to ban smacking until at least 2049. One of the biggest issues in our history is the illegal immigration. After the Prime Minister reportedly postponed the original Rwanda bill from the 17th to the 22nd of April, we shall plan to remove the original bill in order to revise it by removing references to the United Kingdom, as well as improving the safety for these asylum seekers who were coming from France to the English Channel, like Dover for example, before sending them to the African country of Rwanda. But the revised bill won't be effective until the 17th of April next year, if South England becomes independent. So we shall continue to work with the Rwanda government post-independence to ensure the safe arrival of these asylum seekers in Southern England, as the recorded numbers of immigrants risen to more than 2,000 over the past 2 years. In the wake of a declining sales in physical media due to the popularity in the world of streaming, but also the effects of the coronavirus pandemic, we shall continue to support physical media by creating one brand that will unite both major and independent brands from film and television, but to also open a new physical media shop in Welwyn Garden City. In the white paper there are details about the new physical media distribution company which can be founded on the Reimagining Southern England white paper. The new physical media bill nevertheless will be consulted and to be effective 2 days after Southern England's proposed independence, if it happens on the 31st of July. There are other new laws, including our crackdown on eviction. For example, the ban to be imposed on landlords to protect all residents from being evicted from their homes across the unified nation, as well as lowering down the prices of housing to the historic £1,000 and to ask rentals to ease the cost of living crisis as we're facing in 2022. But the new laws also include the Study and Rankings Position Prevention Bill that would remove certain studies and rankings from our position in order to reclaim ourselves to be the #1 country in the world, surpassing America and India for the very first time. Many changes in independent Southern England may lead to the reorganisation of many companies, broadcasters and businesses, with many operations across the UK to be closed and returning them to Southern England before the independence deadline. For example, the BBC. Founded in 1922, its headquarters are a broadcasting house in Westminster, London, and it is the world's oldest national broadcasting organisation, but to me personally, it is the oldest entertainment company in the world. Besides Southern England, it is the most well-known public broadcaster but also most recognisable brand in the world thanks to its worldwide presence. And talking of the BBC, after 100 years of serving the British nation, the BBC should have no choice but must shut down all of its UK operations pre-independence, including but not limited to Newcastle upon Tyne, Cardiff, Manchester, Glasgow, Belfast and Kingston upon Hull, leaving only the Southern English regional headquarters to remain, including those in London, Kent, Birmingham, Southampton, Norwich, Nottingham, Bristol and Plymouth. The BBC shall also become the first broadcaster and the first company to end all UK transmissions from the final weekend of July if the Declaration of Independence was signed. In addition, BBC News shall no longer covering news bulletins relating both the United Kingdom and England, but also discontinuing political programming such as Politics Live and Sunday with Laura Kursberg, with their proposed final editions shall be Friday the 26th of July and Sunday the 28th of July, before being replaced by new weekly non-political programming post-independence from the 5th of August onward, if Southern England achieves its independence on the 31st of July. In addition to the development of new Southern English shows as well as rebooting the existing shows in a different form, this could help sever ties with both Great Britain and England, while making adjustments to the BBC's history books, including the removal of UK-related history of the corporation dated back as 1922, including its founder John Reeve. It could also help in removing the controversial and rogue past of the BBC, including the 2012 scandal relating to TV presenter Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile, however, died in 2011 at the age of 85. Before all this happens, the BBC shall no longer be referring to for the British Broadcasting Corporation. Instead, it shall be known as the BBC Broadcasting System, although still commonly referring to it as the BBC. On the other hand, the new BBC Broadcasting System shall no longer permit political content, discussions or affiliations. It shall solely focus on community, entertainment and other non-political aspects. In the digital world, however, BBC iPlayer shall no longer be available in the remaining parts of Britain. Additionally, BBC iPlayer shall cut its ties with Wales's S4C in southern England, and S4C shall be returned to the S4C Wales for Cymru Authority in Wales. There are other changes to the BBC, which includes a plan to axe the payment for the TV licence beyond the over 75s in Wales first. This could help people avoiding any discrimination or prosecution for not paying up the current TV licence fee. As a result of these changes, the BBC must end all the budget cuts to avoid any future industrial action against the corporation, although the potential removal of all British content by the 1st of November shall continue. In addition, our plan is to formally recognise nature as an ongoing contribution of climate change for the first time in thousands of years, and us as humans shall no longer recognise as its contributor after 4 decades of research. But because of climate change, Mother Nature may undergo a gender reassignment and becoming a new concept known as Father Nature for the first time in millions of years of history. However, our actions against climate change shall continue to be needed under the right circumstances as far as possible. Now, before we go, other plans that will be in place to make Southern England the richest and economic country in the world by 2070 with the help of our vision to bring more employment, introducing the £100 and £200 notes across London and Hertfordshire, with more to be added. Stronger economic growth, fixed and good infrastructure planning, more homes depending on the population, replacing the unworkable NHS or the National Health Service with the new Wellbeing Health Service, WHS, and bring more variety to this newly independent nation, but Britain and politics to remain omitted due to our focus on an alternative future for Southern England. We shall also propose the end of the strike actions based on certain terms from many unions, including the National Union of Journalists, as well as agreements between the Southern English Government and the Unionists. Southern English Government will also be committed to have a long-term plan in Southern England to retain our special relationship with the United States of America, minus history-making events. And remember, there is more on my white paper if you go to thesunandthemoon.com, or otherwise thesunandthemoon4.wordpress.com. So, as I'm going to tell you now, boys and girls, it's time to end our political engagement, because no later than the 27th of May, we shall hold the Declaration of Independence for Southern England, because otherwise we will get stuck in being part of Great Britain and England once again, with the ongoing political entanglements and controversies that which is unnecessary to treat us badly, or denying our right to self-determination, or else denying our right to hold these certain events such as COP26 in 2021 and last year's Eurovision Song Contest. But before we go, I want to show you something for our new flag for Southern England, like this. Well, here it is. This is one I called the Unity flag, commonly known as the Mammoth flag, which is a new flag for an independent Southern England if it goes independent. It has mixed inspirations from European flags such as Germany and Ireland. It has 4 different colours as identified as of the following. Here we go. the silver sand, the Baltic Sea, deep sea green, and finally ocean. It will feature the symbol of my favourite extinct prehistoric animal from the Ice Age era as I learned at the Natural History Museum. That is indeed the woolly mammoth. This flag shall be raised with immediate effect across Southern England if we go independent on the 31st of July. I almost forgot. If we leave the UK on the 31st of July, we shall finally burn down the Union Jack, as we declare it inappropriate, too patriot, and too British for the sub-nation of Southern England, and replace with our brand new mammoth flag to be raised across the newly unified nation itself. The unity flag itself has been already mentioned on the other hand. Okay, last one. We shall propose the complete demolishment of the UK Parliament, the oldest legislature in the world that dated back to 1215, and the Big Ben Tower in favour of the modern 2050 Vision Expedition Complex. The Moses Tower, which is named after a historical figure from the New Testament and inspired by futuristic concepts seen in science fiction films, will replace the Big Ben Tower after 165 years of history. The physical design of a clock tower is unlikely to remain, and instead it would be a new square design based on the one I seen in Stevenage. The redevelopment of the city of Westminster shall be expected to begin in September, but be warned that the old incarnation of the city of Westminster is unlikely to be recorded in our history books due to references to both politics and the United Kingdom of Great Britain. In addition to the construction of the 2050 Vision Expedition, we shall also propose the construction of a Disney stage, which could be used to film some of the movies over there. And once the project began this September, we shall expect the demolishment of the United Kingdom Parliament to be completed before January next year, if Southern England truly becomes an independent nation. But first, the removal of all the political and royal arts shall be expected before respectively destroy them to disconnect politics and Britain from our history. All political buildings such as 10 Downing Street shall be converted into either public homes or distribution offices for major studios, mostly Disney of course, to also disconnect the political landscape from every building in its sub-nation alone. These submissions will be approved by the new Southern English government to give developers some more time to see what would the new buildings would look like, for which these buildings were once dominated by the political landscape as we know. While it is essential for Southern England on the path to become the first independent nation for 40 years, the rest of the United Kingdom would have to create a new government at the troubled but controversial Cooperative Live Arena in Manchester, which itself had its own problems, which can be transformed however into the reincarnation version of the United Kingdom Parliament minus Southern England's involvement due to its proposed independence. At this stage, we have no plans to return to the United Kingdom for the foreseeable future. Instead, we shall remain independent, although we can thought about our return to the European Union. However, it is unlikely that we could return to the European Union until the next century. However, Great Britain has already left the common market in January 2020 before coronavirus hits this country. And so, we shall look into our return to the European Union before the end of this century. But this could lead to our departure of the United Nations and to form the United World Committee, which shall be based in London. I think that is it really again. So once again, you can see all the useful information on my white paper. So as I'm going to tell you some personal things, so if you listen carefully. On the 30th of March 2017, Watford Family County Court have ordered to remove me from my family in a 12-week assessment by placing me into care. So, when I was in Colchester and I suffered from certain abuses, and then into Malvern House afterwards, for which it's not always seems, but I am a total victim of the care system. So I shouldn't be placing care under Section 15. So nor Court of Protection nor Mental Health Act, as my mum told me already during a phone call between 2017 and 2022. So here's an excerpt of it. For example, one of the staff of Malvern House who racially abused me is Elo from Nigeria. Here's a nigger who is responsible for hitting me own back with a door in a garden view corridor before trying to bang me against the wall, but I managed to hold on through my hands to avoid graphic detail through my own eyes. This incident happens on Easter Sunday, the 17th of April 2022, and to me, for real, I have suffered from a so-called anti-white racism. So, as a result of these challenges, I have suffered from what is so-called shock aftermaths. And so, once again, I have to tell you that if we engage with each other, we shall hold the Declaration of Independence of Southern England by the 27th of May without disagreements or arguments. But as I got to tell you that Southern England's independence should not be a political matter, but rather a personal and social matter. So, as Bill Pullman said in a movie from 1996, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day. Thank you for watching.